But Maggie will be here any minute, but it is 5:02. Dinah, would you mind taking the roll?
Board Member Van Landingham. Board Member Reed Cluth.
Present.
Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Present.
President Cole.
Present.
4 present, 1 on her way.
All right, we'll move on to public comment and communication regarding closed session items. Members of the audience may address the board regarding closed session items on the agenda. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. Seeing that we don't have anyone in the audience, I don't think we have anyone on Zoom for this one. No. Okay, we'll move on. How about close? Oh, and then we'll just adjourn to closed session. I'm like, hey, should we talk about closed session? Yeah, move into closed session.
didn't have this homework till like. About the potholes in the front.
Traffic on
Yeah,
Valley.
Traffic on Valley, but
E-bike diversion for, oh, sorry.
school.
Dinah, are we ready? Okay. Now we're going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock on January 8th. Dinah, can you please take the roll?
Yes. Board Member Van Landingham. Present. Board Member Reed Cluth.
Present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica. Present. Vice President Clerk Barrow.
Present.
President Cole.
Present.
All present.
Thank you, Dinah. The report out from closed session is in closed session, the board took action and approved case number 2024-030335. The vote was 5-0 in favor of approval as follows: Van Lanningham, yes; Cluth, yes; Barrow, yes; Bove LaMonica, yes; and Cole, yes. All in favor, 5-0. Good, Dinah? Okay, great. Please join me with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get an approval for tonight's agenda?
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
Thanks, Maggie.
Second.
Thanks, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda's approved. We'll move on to announcements. Susan.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to ask for 3 special friends. Can I have Stephen McCall, Dan Inskeep, and Stephen Izant come join me up at the podium? Three of my new best friends. They don't even know it yet. So we want to take a moment tonight to recognize and express our deepest gratitude to Stephen McCall, Dan Inskeep, and Stephen Izant for their incredible dedication to HBCSD's Measure HV Bond Campaign Committee over the many months. Their time, hard work, and unwavering commitment have been the cornerstone of this campaign. Their dedication to the students of Hermosa Beach and the community to provide state-of-the-art facilities is truly deeply appreciated. Their steadfast leadership in Hermosa Beach cultivated the trust of this community, as experienced by Measure HV's overwhelming positive election results. Dan, as treasurer, has ensured meticulous stewardship of our resources, while Stephen McCall's active engagement has been instrumental in driving our efforts forward. Stephen Izant, in particular, has shown extraordinary leadership. As the current head of the Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure S, he brings invaluable experience, and he brought his deep knowledge to guide this campaign. His passion for our community and his ability to inspire and unite others are unmatched. Additionally, we are incredibly grateful to him and his wife for storing all of our campaign materials. They served as the base, which I'm sure his wife was thrilled about, and the main storage facility for all banners, door hangers, and lawn signs. We are deeply grateful for their contributions and the positive impact that they continue to make on our community's future. And before I bestow our token of our appreciation, I wanted to open it up to the board as well.
Ladies.
Start
Go ahead, Carol.
Direction down.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Feel like I'm looking at a dream team here, but you guys are always in for hard work, and I had the pleasure of working with 2 of you with HBEF for years, and there's no one I trust more than Dan with money and a spreadsheet, so I was thrilled when he took this spot. And Stephen's always ready to step in, and Steve, I mean, oh my gosh, it was so lovely getting to know you, and I can't say enough about how much you put into this campaign and how hard you worked, so thank you for that.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I just want to say ditto. No, I thank you very, very much for all of your hard work. I don't know you all that well. I know Stephen the best, I think, because he helped get me here where I am today. And I taught your son, but you guys are amazing, and thank you very much for all your hard work.
Rachel?
Ditto what's been said, but I want to say that I knew absolutely nothing about passing a bond measure. I know very little more now, but what I witnessed with your incredible efforts and dedication to this community, I kept thinking, how much are we paying these guys? But we weren't, and you're just incredible. The service that you provided for Hermosa just was outstanding, so thank you. It was inspiring.
So I finally can say captain my captain, and you can't refute me because you don't have the microphone. Steve, Isaiah, thank you so much. The weekly phone calls and Zoom calls just to help get organized. It was just a joy to work with you in this partnership to get the bond passed, and your leadership and your credibility with the community to talk about things you truly believed in was just, the authenticity was so great to watch. With the credibility you have with this community. So thank you for taking the leadership role on that. I know you don't want to be called a captain on that, but you were a captain for those calls and for every Saturday morning with coffee and donuts in the park until people just stopped showing up. But thank you. Stephen McCall, I know you said no, you weren't going to do it like so many times, and yet you kept showing up and kept doing it. So thank you so much for persevering, even though you kept saying, no, I'm not going to do it. I really appreciate you finally just saying no, but doing yes. And then Dan, it was a pleasure to work with you on this. You just kept doing things with like taking the leadership role and going and figuring out the bank and figuring out the checks and figuring out the accounts. And so thank you for I didn't know what that was. So thank you for doing that and being so good with the dollars and cents. Really appreciate all of your leadership for the community.
Wow, that's so many good thank yous here. I'm just going to say thank you for being selfless. I mean, really, great role models for our community and for our kids to look up to. So I really appreciate you guys doing this. Our community really appreciates it. We don't tell you everybody thank you enough, but thank you. The volunteering and just the time you guys put into it was amazing. Thank you.
So, as a token of our appreciation, the highest level that we can bestow in Hermosa Beach is a wave. So I want to present you with a wave, so thank you so much. All right, thank you again so much. Is there anything you'd like to say to the board?
John F. Kennedy once said that victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. In this particular case, and of course Hillary Clinton said it takes a village. In this case, it took a little seaside town. So what I do want to say is I was just only part of a well-oiled team. There were what I would call the core team. Everybody sort of settled into their own roles, their own area of expertise, and that was so important. But there's also, I think, some acknowledgement that should be paid to the credibility of the school board, of the school district. And the reason being is that credibility was pretty low around the turn of the century due to some financial issues and how the earlier bond had been gone forward. But with the Measure S bond, I think that credibility was earned back by the board and the district and the staff. And so consequently, we didn't realize at the time. Looking back, it's now easy to see some things that we didn't see at the time. We were just worried about, why aren't we getting more walkers? Why aren't we getting more telephone calls? Well, the flip side of that was we also weren't getting any complaints. We weren't getting any angry emails like, why should we give you more money because you're just going to screw it up? So I have to point to the actions of former boards that gave us that credibility, because our bond passed and other financial measures on the ballot for Hermosa did not. And so that's a team effort. That's a group effort. And thank you so much, my friends, and the rest of you. I think perhaps besides a wave, you should perhaps spring for some new walking shoes for the superintendent, who perhaps walked the most miles of anyone in terms of door hangers. And by the way, I do have a few door hangers left. If you want any memorial, I could have them laminated or something. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
She made me walk.
Guess I can't dress like I'm on a Zoom call, right? Right.
Even us up. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a tsunami of waves. It is true.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. I'll do one more. Up. Oh, yeah. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Our job was easy and quick. Your job continues. So thank you. Thank you for all you do.
It's already made out, but does she want it mailed? Does she want it presented at a board meeting? It's a strange way to do things, but thank you so much.
Yeah, did you like that?
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks.
Ask your kids tonight.
Okay, the crowd quiets down, and we're going to move on to public comment and communication. Members of the audience may address the board on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda are brought to the board's attention, may be investigated by the administration, and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately at a future meeting. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. I don't think we have any public comment tonight. Do we have any online? No, thank you, Dinah. Moving on to board reports. Do we have any board reports that we want to discuss tonight? Carol? Rachel? Kathy?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember, should I?
We might have had a wellness council report, but neither myself or Rachel were here.
Rachel was there, but we'll have more to report next time. It was a working meeting.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to reports to the board and discussion items. We'll move on to R-18. Oh, sorry, guess what? I had something I wanted to, I had a few things. We moved along really quickly, and I did have a few opening remarks for tonight. First, sorry, it feels like we're kind of in our meeting, but we meant to stop and have a pause before the meeting and just just thank everyone for coming, because I know getting out tonight in Los Angeles is kind of a big task. The first thing we wanted to talk about and just kind of take a moment is to be with the family that lost a senior in high school from Maricosta. And I have a senior, so it just hits a little close to home, but I'm super sorry that they lost their child yesterday in a car accident on Sepulveda. So we just wanted to let their family know that we're thinking about them. And the second thing is just the devastating loss of the fires in LA, and being that it's such a big city, people forget that, we're from the South Bay. We have so many strong ties with people in those areas, whether it's our family members or colleagues or teammates, our kids, or our families, or work people. We're all feeling it here tonight and all day today. And in the end of this week, early next week, we'll definitely be identifying ways in which, as a community, we can help. I know we've been already reached out to in various ways, but we'll get some information out to our Hermosa community. I'm sure there'll be information from the Red Cross. I know that many of us have personal connections to places that are going to take donations. I know my daughter's volleyball team will be taking collections. I know Loyola High School will be taking collections. So we will put something out to the public and our local community within the week or early next week to let people know how they can help. So I just wanted to take a moment, if we can all just kind of sit together and, think about that family and all the families that are really just devastated by this loss due to the fire too. So we'll give us just a second here. And then we're going to move on to, I just wanted to reflect a little just as a board, just since it's a new year, and our role, both as my role as president and role of a school board, and I just wanted to remind us, because this is just our meeting and the public is watching with us, but just our responsibilities and kind of how I kind of see the role of a board and the role of what we're up here and designed to do. And just there's a couple, I kind of see it in 4 buckets. So the board's responsibility is to kind of help with, in broad strokes, like compliance of the district, rules and ed codes, fiduciary responsibilities. Are we helping kids learn? Are we spending taxpayers' money correctly and wisely? And are kids learning what is expected of them? And then the second role or second bucket we have is to look at current issues facing our Hermosa students and families and staff. So that'd be bucket number 2. And then our third bucket is to act as a sounding board. So I always used to talk about it a lot when I would talk to people in the community, is like, think of the role of a board as a bit of, the bread on the sandwich. Like, we're one side of the bread, we're one piece of the bread. And as constituents or any person in the community that lives in Hermosa, student, family member, teacher, just a business owner that has a concern, is the other end of the sandwich, and in the middle is the school board, is the district. And so our job is to kind of put pressure on one side and our constituents to give us, concerns and desires and interests on the other side. So just to make sure that you know that we're up here serving in this role for you. So please reach out, ask questions, feel empowered to use the board. We are your sounding board. We are here for that purpose. And I just like to remind people of that, because sometimes you think that we're up here making decisions, our own personal decisions, and that's not the role of this board. And then the fourth bucket would be to create a vision for the Hermosa community. And the exciting part about having a new year, and even though it's halfway through the 24-25 school year, we are always looking ahead, and we're trying to look at, the board's role is to look to see collectively what we see on the horizon for students, families, and educators in our school system. So that's our other role. So I just wanted to remind us of that as we go into 2025 as kind of a level setting. And then the exciting part is that we will start in this first quarter kind of working to create a 3-year plan. In previous years, we've created kind of annual plans, and I think our goal as we move forward in 2025 is to really look and kind of, especially in the pace that we are starting to see in the world, that we needed to look a little further ahead. So in the first quarter of this year, we're going to be embarking on a strategic plan with the community, with our stakeholders. So it's a really great time. We'll be sending out surveys. We'll ask a lot of questions, trying to make sure that we're keeping our finger on the pulse of what's on the horizon, and kind of challenging the community to look with us to see what's on the horizon. And I'd love to see, a few things I would love to see on the horizon would be passing the facilities bonds as we did, and like getting that up and running. So really prioritizing that. We've got, we'll learn tonight about the billions of dollars that are going to be spent in California in the next few years. And we want to be kind of first in line, and that takes us being really organized. So getting up and running, prioritizing that, and learning what the community really wants to see in these facilities and how we can better that. I think that's a top priority. The second priority would be what I like to call AI now and future technological advances, because I think we need to be constantly asking ourselves, what does teaching and learning with AI look like, and how we can teach our system, our students, and our staff to be nimble and deal with a rapidly changing learning environment. It is going at light speed, and we need to catch up. And we probably need to be, constantly catching up. So baking that into our strategic plan, I think, is going to be really important for us. and not being afraid of it, embracing it. I think that's a great mantra and way to look at it. My third one would be stronger readers are stronger learners, and we already have a really great initiative of this going back and looking and unpacking the science of reading. We've started in August. It's a 3-year initiative. I think it's it's super important to kind of move the 30% of kids we're not really moving in the district academically, and I think we can do that by learning how to be better teachers in terms of all of us. Whether it's from the board level down to anybody that works in the school, you have to know how to teach kids how to read the best way possible. And then the fourth thing I would say would be, I call it evolving students' social grease. And what I mean by that is one of our values as a community is community engagement, and we need to define what that is as a Hermosa student, and how we're going to continue to remind kids and teach them how to be socially connected and build a culture of community. Because what we're finding in the world and studies are showing us is loneliness is becoming a bigger issue in our country. Being connected to each other is really challenging, especially as they get older. And we probably have to explicitly teach that skill. So those would be 4 things I'd love to see on our strategic plan as we move forward into 2025 and beyond, but that's kind of how I'd like to kick off the 2025 school year, or year. Here we go, presidency, new adjustments. And then I want to welcome Rachel and Carol to the board. I know they got inaugurated in December, but we call this the official first meeting. Yeah, so welcome. All right, well, let's gonna move on.
President Cole, based on your report, if you wouldn't mind in the board reports, is it possible to pull then the superintendent report early? To kind of piggyback on your...
Oh, on the R20, 2024?
R20?
Yeah,
Would it
sure.
be possible to pull that forward?
No problem. So we'll start with R20-24/25, Superintendent Report, Program and Project Management Services for Measure HV. Aligns with my first idea, right?
Exactly. So tonight I'd actually like to cede my superintendent report time. I'm going to invite to the podium Brett McFadden, and he is with District Advocates Group. Also, again, want to be my new best friend. He just doesn't know it yet. And to share with you a little bit about their company and a proposed partnership.
Madam Chair, members, thank you very much. My name is Brett McFadden, and I'm the managing principal for the District Advocates Group. And the District Advocates Group is actually a division of a firm and a partnership that you've had for a long time in this district with ISOM Advisors. We are a division of ISOM Advisors. You work with my colleague and partner, John Isom, for a number of years, and so I'm honored to be before you today. What's before you this evening is a proposal to provide program management, bond program management services to you in conjunction with your staff and your existing project manager that you've had for a number of years and has done a wonderful job on your projects and such. And so I know, Madam President, you had a number of questions. What I'm going to attempt to do is incorporate those questions into the presentation as we move forward with that, if that's all right with you.
So you should have a clicker.
Okay. Wow. All right. Here we go. Oh, okay. So as President Cole mentioned, there is approximately $59 billion in bond authorization. We had a historic November election in the area of school bonds. There was approximately 56 school bonds on ballots throughout the state. Roughly 82% of them passed. With the existing bonds that were passed in the prior March and years before, we have a dearth of bond programs out there. And so what the concern that we have as individuals that have done this for a long time is that our feeling is that the market's going to become saturated, and that the ability to find and attract high quality firms and to be able to move programs appropriately and quickly in order to save money and to provide for true needs and instructional needs at school sites is going to be all the more taxed. So one thing that isn't happening at the state level, for instance, and all school districts have to go through the division of the state architect as their planning agency. One thing that there is no proposal on is to increase the staff of the DSA. And right now it's taking upwards of a year to 18 months to get a project approved in the Division of the State Architect right now. And so we're looking at this situation, my firm, and we are a statewide firm, have begun to develop a number of strategies in order to do this, in order to execute a bond program. And we have some ideas specifically that apply to Hermosa Beach that we think that can be employed and be able to execute your bond program in a way that will bring about and service your needs that you have through your facilities master plan, but also be able to move quickly in order to basically save time, save money, and get projects done that will benefit your community and your students. So managing bond facilities and bond facility programs are very complex. And so while your bond program at $28 million, almost $29 million, while that's a lot of money, but in the scope and looking at our neighbors and such, it's a smaller size bond. If we just go down the road to Palos Verdes Peninsula USD, and we have LAUSD, and all of them passing large bonds, they are beginning now to move with their programs. There's a lot of complexities in this. So many districts find it beneficial to bring on a firm like us, a program management firm that can execute and serve as a de facto staff and build additional capacities to a smaller school district and be able to help you strategically weed through all of the challenges associated with the bond program. So, who can do this work out there? There are district staff, there are other consultants that are out there, but primarily how we stand out, and to answer the question a question from the board president is why us? Well, there's a lot of great bond program management firms throughout California. And one thing I didn't mention is I am a former practitioner. I spent 27 years as an educator, culminating as a superintendent of a school district. And throughout my career, and I ran 4 different bond programs and did about $700 million in various projects, from as small as putting in a walkway to as large as building a high school. And over that time, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of these firms. How we stand out, the District Advocates Group, how we stand out is basically 2 ways. Number one, most project management firms will assess a percentage fee based on the size of project or based on the size of the bond. We don't do that. We assess a fixed fee structure so that just like you have had through ISOM Advisors, a fiduciary partnership, we serve as an extension of that fiduciary partnership and provide that fiduciary service to you. We don't have an incentive to enlarge projects because there will be a higher fee for us. We charge a fixed fee annually so that you know what you will receive in terms of a fixed amount, you know what to budget, and then we coincide that with a list of deliverables. In your board packet this evening is a proposed contract. That includes a scope of services. We've developed this scope of services in light of the fact that you have an outstanding on-site project manager, and so we've scoped that and to be able to work cooperatively with her and with your staff. Second reason that why we stand out is we're only led by education practitioners who were successful education practitioners and demonstrated a successful career. Over the course of my career, got my start all the way, I came up the classified side. And so got my start as a custodian when I worked my way through college at an agency and then culminated as a superintendent through 27 years of that. No other firm in the state of California is educationally focused. There's, like as I mentioned, a lot of great firms that are excellent at construction. We do everything A through Z when it comes to school construction, and we have that expertise, but we do that through the lens of an educational perspective. What's in the best interest of our students from an instructional standpoint and creating those instructional environments that will create maximum opportunities for our students. On the other side of this, we want to also look at environments that also lend themselves to the social and emotional well-being of students, including increasing access as well as equity as well. And those are the frameworks that we approach school construction. So I won't just speak disparagingly of our competitors are out there, but that's our singular focus, and that's what we provide in terms of our overall services. I'll move on quickly here. What's that? Yeah, I think I covered this slide in terms of who we are, and I will stand ready for any questions you have on that. So the value of that we can provide to Hermosa Beach City School District is, as I mentioned, time is money in this. We are poised to be able to jumpstart your bond program and have that jump started in 90 days or less. So we have been in conversations with your staff, meetings with your project manager. We've done some initial thoughts on this, and we believe that we're going to recommend that you entertain a two-track strategy. Two-track strategy of number one, what are your fast-track projects that you want to initiate that don't have the high level of DSA review and can be done rather quickly? We'd like to be poised by the time of March or April to be bringing to you contracts for summer projects and to be able to get going with that. While we're doing those things simultaneously, we'll be working on your longer term projects, those projects that require a significant amount of DSA involvement, such as building access ways or building new facilities, new classrooms, modernizing new classrooms. And while we're engaged with that, we'll be engaged in the design, community input, community engagement processes. So that's going as well, so that we get those designs and those proposals into DSA as quickly as possible. We will always move at the pace that the district wants to move it, but we will act as your fiduciary and advise you that by moving in this direction or moving according to this sort of strategic plan or strategic initiative, this will yield certain benefits of that. We answer to the district. This is your bond. This is the district's bond, the community's bond, and so we are mindful of that. So no decisions or actions are taken without going through the superintendent or the appropriate staff. Any type of contracts or anything like that come through the board, so the board retains its statutory policy-making authority overall with that. Oops, I am not figuring this out. I don't get the remote at home, so I don't. So this is a little foreign to me. Yeah, thank you. You may have to just override me. I'll see if I can do it one more time here. Okay. So in conclusion, we believe that we can employ a number of strategies and work closely with you in order to save you money and maximize the full amount or maximum possible bond dollars going to projects, in order that they don't go to other soft costs or get tied up into a chasm of indecision or conflict that may happen in the community. We are have particular expertise with navigating the proposals as well as certain designs, and also working cooperatively with your community partners and community members in order to expedite a bond program overall. So I'll stand ready for any questions.
Thank you so much. One of the key takeaways when Brett and John and I met, and with Paula and Nancy, is that this idea is time is money. Mm-hmm. Construction costs will only go up, so the more support that we as staff have to get the ball rolling and get these projects in, and we want to beat our big competitors around us.
We have questions, Rachel? Carol? Kathy?
I think I know, but just for the millions of people who are watching, the two-track strategy that we're thinking about, what's going to come first in our minds?
Yes, so we'll work according to your facilities master plan and the priorities of that. We'll want to revisit that, not to redo the plan anyway, we want to revisit that. And so we'll work with your staff in terms of what type of input do we need to, or additional input do we need to receive from the community or particular partners. We'll come to the board with an action plan as well. But you have a number of infrastructure plans. So a fast track project would be one that would not require a significant amount of DSA review. So playground structures that you are wishing to modernize, HVAC projects and such. Solar is another one that can be moved at a certain speed.
Thank you. That's what I thought, but I just want to make sure.
Maggie, go ahead.
Susan, how do you anticipate working with DAG? In my brain, when Measure S first commenced, there was weekly meetings with architects and construction managers and facilities with Nancy, and then, so is it a standing weekly meeting that they're invited to and then represent as the project goes on? How do they get incorporated?
Yeah, so I anticipate it changing, and that's why for this particular contract, we did a 2-year contract because it then may change for year 3 and our needs may change. At the beginning, it'll be really them working with myself and staff to set kind of the strategic plan. How do we want to go about this? How do we set up board workshops so that we can identify kind of what the scope of projects, what we want to go after. But I anticipate we're going to be like this. We're going to be very tight. But yes, weekly meetings and check-ins.
The relationships become quite close over time. You spend a considerable amount of time, and so you want to make sure that there's trust that's there, because inevitably in construction something goes wrong. I've never had a construction project go completely as planned, and so there comes times in any construction project where you have to have what I call perhaps a courageous conversation with a contractor or with an architect on that. Sometimes contractors have their own unique vocabulary. And you have to be able to work with them cooperatively. So we do that, and of course we act as your representative on behalf of the district to execute the project through and through. Not only just from the start and the construction, but also we have to be mindful too of what's called DSA closeout, making sure that we have an appropriate closeout so that when you do your next bond or your next project, you're not held up because we didn't appropriately close out a project.
And one of the things to note, kind of when I look at hiring people, I look to hire people who are my weakness. One of the things about Brett that that made DAG in that group is that he's how many years as a CBO, as a Chief Business Officer? So that is my area of weakness, right? So for me, it's a matter of partnering with somebody who brings what I don't.
Madam President, I had a
Go
question.
ahead.
I was wondering, I keep hearing about DSA, and they seem like to be a huge speed bump since they have to approve everything. With your $700 million projects that you've already shepherded through, do you have like long-standing contacts there? Would we be like at their front door, like immediately out of the gate?
Yes, we'll reach out to state officials. So we work out of the LA DSA office, and we'll work with that. I'm also happy. We'll be sending an announcement out. It's not quite finished yet, but we have an individual locally. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you're familiar with the association, it's called the Californians for Adequate Schools Housing. That's basically the association for school facilities. If you're familiar with CSBA and AXA and the alphabet soup of associations, so the current president of that association, former assistant superintendent of Long Beach Unified for Facilities, will be joining our firm. We'll make an announcement of that next week on that. And so with his expertise, he has a number of high-level contacts at state level as well as locally.
I just have thank you for being here, and
Yeah, my pleasure.
looking forward to working with you. I think we're about to vote on that. But are we going to get you, or will you be the contact?
Yes, I will be a point of contact. And so one of your questions was, if that's all right, if
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
address it, was, how do you prioritize making sure that Hermosa Beach is getting its due time and its due attention with that? So while I serve as the managing partner in this division, and I oversee that, we have teams across the state, but I will directly serve approximately 5 or 6 school districts. This will be one of them. So I will be your point of contact. Perhaps over time we may have a particular consultant or something that might be involved, but that individual will report to me and go through me, and I'll work closely with your superintendent and your CBO. And really what we've scoped this project out is to be a partner and an addition to the school district in addressing the capacities that you may not have at this point in time. So we'll partner with your project manager as well. And having looked at your facilities and such, clearly you've performed well. You've put together some outstanding projects and facilities that you've completed in recent years. And I think that's in large part to the work that your project manager has done.
Great. Any other questions? Rachel?
Okay, I had one. How to phrase this delicately. piggybacking off of Madam President's great question about whether we'd get you and you're a point of contact, you did mention that your business is serving other districts. I'll be honest, I immediately thought conflict. I'd feel really weird if you were also servicing Manhattan Beach and Redondo Beach. I mean, are we allowed to ask about could there possibly be conflicts that arise with you providing your services to neighboring districts, and how do we scope those out up front?
That's a fair question.
It is a very good question. So we are entailed. We have a contract right now before the Palos Verdes Unified Board. We went through an RFQ process with them, and we were selected for that. So as I will leave to head over there. Redondo Beach, our proposal will go to them Tuesday night as well. So that's a great question. So we don't anticipate any areas of direct conflict in there. If there are areas of direct conflict, then we'll make sure that someone else from the firm is servicing that client, either on that particular project or that particular issue. I have in my career never, as I've worked with other in an intergovernmental type of setting, I've never seen any sort of direct legal conflicts. It is possible that perhaps because of relationships, perhaps you have a political dialogue, and that may turn into some type of conflict. And so we'll be mindful of that. And if it's needed, then my first priority will be with Hermosa Beach. I'll side with Hermosa Beach. We'll have someone else from our firm representing Redondo. But I haven't found that to be the case in terms of any experiences that are direct statutory, legal, regulatory conflicts.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Very similar to John Isom and Associates, as a fiduciary has worked with just about every district that I work with as a superintendent, and we have not come across anything that would be concerning.
And if I may say, as a division of Isom Advisors, we are the #1 firm in the state of California when it comes to municipal advisory services, and now with this, our division and the services. So we've provided work over the past 15 years in 330 school districts statewide. And what I'm proud to say is we've had no state audit exceptions, no violations, no SEC violations, no federal violations in the work that we have done. So we're careful and we're diligent. We dot our I's, cross our T's when it comes to compliance.
All right. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. We're just going to keep moving on since we're on board reports to the board and discussion. We'll go to the audit. Yes, review R-18-24/25 review of the 2023-2024 district financial audit report and the 2023-2024 Measure S general obligation bonds financial audit report.
Hi, President Cole. Anna Credillion is here from Ida Bailey to present our audit reports this evening.
Welcome, because you do not look like Mr. Harrison. So welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Harrison is the partner on the engagement. He had some other engagements going on, so I'm here for you guys today. So like Paula said, I'm Anna Credillion. I've actually been overseeing the audit for Hermosa Beach City School District for several years now, so I'm the audit manager. So I'm here to present to you guys. If anything, I might know a few more details than Mr. Harrison, so I'm just kidding.
We welcome you.
So thanks for having me. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So the first thing I always like to remind the board is the financial statements that are presented within the audit report are prepared by management. So management prepares the financial statements, they review, they approve, and then they hand it over to us. So at that point, us as auditors will perform our auditing procedures and issue an opinion on the financial statements. So for the district report, I'm going to go over the district first and then I'll go over the bond. So for the district report, we actually issue 2 opinions. We issue an opinion on the financial statements as well as a separate opinion on state compliance. So I'm happy today to present to you all that we have issued an unmodified opinion on both the financial statements as well as state compliance. An unmodified opinion is the highest form of opinion we can issue. What that means is that we didn't have the financial statements presented within the audit report we believe are reasonably assured that are free from material misstatements, nor did we have any instances of non-compliance. So unmodified opinions sometimes do come with a little nuance of findings. I'm happy to present to you today that there was no findings this year. If you look through the audit report on the very last page, we always present prior year's findings as well. So if you guys look, last year there was 4 findings, and the reason why I'm bringing that up today is because I think it's a huge testament to management that there was 0 this year. So that really shows dedication to management implementing policies and procedures to ensure that they are maintaining compliance, making sure the financial statements are fairly presented. So really, I think that is a huge accomplishment. So really wanted to share that today. So before I move on to the bond report, if you guys like, I can go over 89 pages of information, but if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Carol?
I don't have anything specific other than to say it seems like a good report card for Paula.
Anyone else? Yeah, I thought the same thing, because I did catch those 4 things at the end, and I was like, I don't remember this. I think Paula's doing a great job. So thank you for reiterating that Paula's doing a great job.
Yeah, I thought, it's a pretty big turnaround, and every audit year stands alone. You have to kind of make sure that you're continuing those same processes, because just because there's no non-compliance this year doesn't mean that that'll be assured for next year. So I thought that was really important. So, and then for the bond report, we also perform a financial and performance audit. So the bond fund is presented within the district's financial statements, but we issue a separate opinion on the financials for just the bond fund as well as the performance audit. So I'm happy to present that there was no findings there as well. We were able to issue an unmodified opinion. As a part of our performance audit, we actually looked at 98% of the expenditures this year for the district's bond fund, which is an extremely high amount. So maybe don't get your expectations too high there with the new bond measure coming up. However, we didn't have any instances of non-compliance. We were able to determine that the bond funds were spent in accordance with the ballot approved measures and the district's bond projects.
Great. Thank you again for
No
that. And thanks
problem.
for the Measure S Oversight Committee that helps to look at that as well.
And if you guys have any questions.
Any other questions? Oh, thank you. It actually really means a lot, as we just got another bond, and we're, the future is ahead of us. So we appreciate the time you put into it. You tell a story with all this information. We know. You know a lot about us.
I'll read it tonight.
I did look through it. the whole
It's
thing.
great to look through right before bed.
Well, thank you for coming out here.
No
and I hope
problem.
you travel safely home.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Anna.
Okay, moving on. Great job, Paula. Once again, thank you and your team. I know you have a team of people that are helping you too, but
Thank you.
yeah, we appreciate not that big of a team. Team of 1, it's you, but you have a couple of people in the office. Yeah. We'll go to R-19-24/25, the HBCSC Citizens Oversight Committee 8th Annual Report. Mr. Steve Izant.
I was starting to lose, Steve Izant, chairman of the Citizens Oversight Committee, I was starting to lose track of how many years I've opened with the same joke, which is we have to stop meeting like this. But it seems to work every year, and so I don't see any reason to change now. As most of you already know, we meet 4 times a year. We have a list of all the invoices that have been spent, or the invoices, the companies, the dollar amounts, what they were for. We occasionally have a question which either Paula or Nancy knows the answer to, and if they don't, they bring it back the next quarter. So we also did review the audit report this evening, and I also offer my congratulations on a good, clean bill of health, and from our perspective, we say the same thing. Quarter after quarter, it's just a great performance. And it's also great working with Paula and Nancy. So with that, unless there's any questions, I'll see you next year, and I'll open for the 9th year in a row with we have to stop meeting like this.
We are going to be looking for a new oversight committee. Just putting it out there, Steve.
I think that's true. I think that's true. There is some question on whether we expire, or we know for sure our terms expire at the end of this year, but we don't know legally if there's a brand-new committee that needs to be constituted, or whether the old one continues if people are reappointed. Seems to be up in the air unless the superintendent has an answer.
It sounds like everyone's had such a great time. We can just get them to agree to become the Measure H fee. So that's something, if the group is amenable to, we can bring a resolution to the board for that.
That's amazing news.
We are going to need to have some representative changes coming up. From the minutes, Paulette will bring that to you probably at your next meeting to have a discussion. Thank you very much. See you next year.
Thanks, Steve.
If I'm reappointed.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. We'll move on to R-20-24/25, the HBCSC preschool program update. Miss Ford.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah Ford. I'm excited to share with you the growth and success of our preschool program since it's opened. I'd like to take this time to highlight our program and how it's expanded, the positive impact on students and families, and our continued efforts to prepare children for long-term educational success. I'd also like to start off by thanking the board for your ongoing support, which really has, helped make this growth possible. Let's see if I can make this work. I think I went, okay, here we go. So our preschool program first opened in August of 2023 with just one classroom and 18 students. Due to strong interest from families and positive feedback, we soon saw the need to expand, which brings us to our first major milestone. In January 2024, we expanded to a second classroom, welcoming a new teacher to our team. This allowed us to accommodate more families while maintaining our small class size. By August 2024, we started the school year with 2 full classrooms this year, continuing to serve our growing community. Most recently, we expanded into a 3rd classroom for this year, further increasing our capacity to serve families. And while we now support a significantly larger student body, the focus really is on the remarkable percentage growth our program has experienced really in just a year and a half, which I can't believe it's been a year and a half. As our enrollment grew, so did the need for a larger play space where children could explore and stay active. This led to the expansion of our Dolphin Cove outdoor play area, which now accommodates more students and provides opportunities for fun and exploration. Our curriculum is designed around play-based, hands-on learning because we know that children learn best through exploration and interaction. Our teachers really take the time to create experiences that promote growth across multiple areas of development. Some of those including early literacy and math foundations, such as recognizing letters, numbers, and patterns. Some other areas of development that we really focus on is that science exploration and sensory play, encouraging curiosity and problem solving, creative arts, music, and movement to support self-expression, and lastly, social emotional learning, helping children manage their emotions, because there's so many of them and at this age, building friendships and working together. For example, children engage in activities like storytelling, sensory bins, collaborative art projects, which build both academic and life skills. And really the goal that our teachers work on is to foster a love of learning while preparing them for the next steps in their education. A key part of our preschool program is preparing for a successful transition into transitional kindergarten. We focus heavily on those school readiness skills, such as independence in daily routines like following directions, self-help tasks, social emotional growth, including managing emotions, like I mentioned, and taking turns sharing and things like that. Our goal really is to make sure every child leaves preschool feeling confident and ready for the next chapter in their educational journey. I'm proud to share that the feedback from families has been overwhelmingly positive. Our preschool has not only provided a strong foundation for children, but also built a supportive community for families. Looking ahead, I'm committed to continuing this growth while maintaining high quality early education. I plan to focus on ongoing professional development for my staff, expanding family engagement, and enriching our curriculum even further. I'm excited about the future and remain committed to providing the best possible start for our youngest little learners. Thank you for your time and continued support. It's really been an incredible journey, and I've really enjoyed watching this program grow. I'm so grateful for the trust and families that the community has placed in us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, they're amazing photos. Great.
Thank you.
Great
I had a
presentation.
lot of fun taking them. They're so fun.
So
and it was
good. I
so
love the one
easy.
of
I'm
the
like, you
girl
guys
just
are making
doing-
my job easy. You guys are so fun.
She's like being an eye doctor.
Yeah.
I was like,
That
that's
was all
amazing.
natural. It was like,
amazing picture.
Let me get
Amazing
them.
picture.
Thank you.
Yeah, Carol, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I had a couple questions.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And like Jen, I also have a senior, so I found myself getting a little choked up at a couple of those. It's going to be a rough few months, you guys. So I had a question. Yeah, the three of us might be a mess. So you said there were 18 kids. Did I have that right?
Yes,
So
in
is a
each
full,
classroom.
In each. So it's now 2 full at 18
Yes,
each?
correct.
Okay. That was my one question. And then last year, did most of them go on to our TK program? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't have the specific percentage, but
The
a
majority?
high percentage did move on,
Okay.
yes.
All right. It's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, really exciting.
I don't have any questions, but with your smiling, bubbly personality, I think that's a big draw for our program. So thank you for that alone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll just echo the thank yous. I don't have specific questions, but I wish you were around 12 a while ago. So thank you for what you're doing, and congratulations on your successes so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, we're going to move on to D-3-24/25, first reading of board policy, administration regulations, and exhibits.
Yes, so the most exciting part of the evening. In alignment with our board policy 9310, we're presenting draft policies for our first reading at a public board meeting. So tonight we're bringing forward a number of policies with recommended edits from CSBA that reflect new legislation, as well as a draft of interdistrict attendance board policy with edits that reflect our practice for priority consideration with accepting permits, as well as the new board policy mobile devices. When we discussed back in November, kind of the cell phone policy, we looked at our current board policy, and what we discovered is that there actually is a mobile devices policy that has been around in CSBA. Hermosa's just never adopted it. So we started from that point, and then went and added some revisions based on the guidance that we got from the board back in November, and as well as Assembly Bill 3216. And so we bring them for you tonight to discuss, give staff feedback, and they will come back. We don't vote on anything tonight. They would come back at the February meeting for approval.
I'll take any questions if you have any yet, and if not, we can come back to those. Great.
I don't have any yet.
No. My only addition was when I read through them, and I flagged this to you, Susan, but just at the tech conference in Vegas,
Yeah.
the next big thing is eyewear.
Yes.
And owning I think it was she called it like owning the face or something. And so There is obviously glass-tech Google glasses, and all those glasses are going to come out. Every kid's going to have a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some little screen in the glass that's going to tell everybody all the answers that everybody wants to know. So we probably should just want to somehow add a component of that potentially into our policy.
Yes.
And it would just go along with like also learning and teaching our staff how to be nimble with all the
Absolutely.
technology that we're going to
First, we got to be able to
seeing.
spot it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll be harder to spot.
So, and how to embrace it, because it's not going to go away.
Absolutely. We tried, there are two things that you can always bring in, especially for new board members, is the board policy that sets kind of like the background in the legislation. And then there's the administrative regulation, which is like the how. So the board policy is always the what, and the administrative regulation is always the how. And then sometimes you'll also see an exhibit, which might be just a paper document that might have, for example, an interdistrict permit, there might be an exhibit, which is the actual permit the parents would fill out, right? And so when we pulled the mobile devices, this idea of like, do we name out in the policy, cell phone, smartwatch, glasses, all of those things, earbuds, or do we keep it at the policy level, more of a generic term that might encompass anything that comes our way, that we could then develop an AR later on? But it's tough because we got to think about a policy that can incorporate, But again, none of these policies are set in stone. So as CSBA sends new regulations, which we anticipate once Assembly Bill 3216 really goes into practice, we anticipate CSBA will provide more updates.
Maggie had a question.
I do. Just a comment, though, off of your point, Jen. I would be reluctant to start naming technologies. It's more the broad of students not being assisted.
Yeah.
In terms of, though, just so I'm really clear on how we read what's in our agenda on this, where it says reviewed by SW, the date, and then no changes. When you say no changes, meaning you recommend
I recommend what CSBA is saying. So there are some, so let me give you let me pull one, give you a perfect example. So one of the things, the way it comes in, I want the board as well as the public reading this to know that, hey, well, what has changed, right? So what we want to do is when we present this in a first reading, we want to make sure that the public sees any sort of track changes. So when I say reviewed by SW, that's me. You might also see reviewed by Paula, reviewed by Sylvia, and then you'll also see me again, so you will have known that staff read these side by side, old and new, side by side. There are some times where CSBA will say, this part of the policy is non-optional. This is legislation. Sometimes they'll say, this is optional or can be tailored based on district practice. If we have tailored it, for example, I'm actually going to write C changes. If it's no changes, that means what CSBA and their army of attorneys are telling us to do, we're accepting it at face value. Some things, for example, there's one in here that references high school. Well, we don't need, we're a K district, so I've struck that. So that will show up in pink, and so that the community knows that's where we made changes.
And so for an example off of this, with Regulation 5117 on page 156, it's on the interdistrict attendance agreements. And so the green highlights that you have there are what you think the board should consider.
Consider adding.
Adding.
Yes.
Okay.
So consider, well, the top is anytime, the way Gamut works is when I add, it shows up in green. If I delete, it goes in pink and gets a strike through. So the green, obviously, I added at the top, and you'll say see recommended changes. So that will let you in the community know, go down into the document to see more green. Those 3 priority status areas are practice that have been, but they have never been formalized in an AR for our district.
Okay, thank you.
So if in this first reading for example, the board might say, hey, we want to add another priority to give priority status to, and then we would add that here. We could add that here.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the explanation. And I guess next time we meet in February, we'll vote on those and adopting those. Okay, everyone clear on that? Cool.
Yes.
Moving on to consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve consent.
Thank you, Maggie.
Second.
Thank you, Carol. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on, thank you. Moving on to board action, superintendent, the contract S-29-2425, contract for consulting services agreement with District Advocacy Group, DAG.
So this is a follow-up to the action item for our earlier presentation from Brett McFadden for a 2-year consulting services agreement with District Advocates Group to provide services to support district staff in the implementation and management of the Measure HV bond program. Staff recommends you approve this agreement.
Any questions? Concerns? Okay, moving on. Let's take a vote. Yeah, someone move.
I move.
Thank you. Kathy?
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to business B-67-2425 Memorandum of Understanding with LMU, Loyola Marymount University. Dr. Wiles.
Yes, so this is a memorandum of understanding with LMU for the placement of a graduate student intern in the counseling program.
Oh,
In the counselor
nice.
program?
In the counseling program? Mhm.
Awesome.
Great.
Go Lions.
Go Lions. I'm a Lion too. All right. Any questions? Concerns? Okay.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Maggie. Second. Thank you, Rachel. All in favor?
Aye.
Go Lions.
Aye. It's approved. B-68-2425 Memorandum of Understanding with California State University, Dominguez Hills. I am also an alum.
What are
Keep
they,
going.
Anteaters?
I can't even remember.
Slugs?
So these are at, this action item is actually, there are 2 separate memorandums of understanding with, but they're both with Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. One is for the placement of another graduate counseling intern, and then the second one is to allow the placement of a student teacher. So they're
Got it.
2 slightly separate agreements. But staff recommend you approve both of these.
Great. And I just have a question on that. When
Sure.
we approve student teachers, is that somebody we're also like looking
Oh, yes.
down the line?
Yes, it's
for?
like it's like a try to buy kind of
Okay.
situation.
Yeah, I'm just checking. I'm like, it's
a good
an
deal.
investment.
Yeah.
And a follow-up question to that. So in the past, it's also a matching process, right? Because we have to have a teacher who's willing to do it.
Yes.
So we have secured teachers who've said yes.
When we have one, so this just allows the memorandum. So then once that happened, Cal State will contact us and say, hey, we now have someone for you. Typically, it's not just kind of a general. They'll say, we will have somebody who's a single subject history or a single subject science, and then we start the matching process. So this just allows us to enter into that.
Great.
I'm happy we're doing it. We went many years without student teaching.
Yes.
And I think it's really valuable. So good. I'm glad we're doing it.
And important to note that we get approached by a lot of different universities to do student teaching. Not all of them pay our current teachers what we feel is significant to be a master teacher. It's a lot of time and a lot of attention to really mentor a student teacher. And so we appreciate Cal State and LMU
Awesome.
providing that for our teachers.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Can I get a motion? Thank you, Rachel.
Second.
Thank you, Carol. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. Motion passed. Moving on to B-69-2324. Should that be 2425?
Yes, that's a typo. Thank you.
It's okay, no worries. Resolution 09:24/25, Prop 2 School Facilities Program. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. Approval is recommended that the Board of Education adopt and approve Resolution 9/2425, authorizing the filing of applications for the State Allocation Board, or SAB. We would like to submit an application to get in line for state matching dollars. Along with this, if you approve the resolution, is the master plan that you see in your agenda, which is a high-level document coming out of the community meetings that was held in April. That master plan will be refined as we continue to define the scope of work that we're going to move forward with.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying that, Paula. Any questions?
No.
Great. Thank you again for clarifying that, because it is a draft plan within there. All right, so can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to board member roundtable. Anybody have any questions, concerns, things they want to bring up? This is a general time in which you can bring up things that are on your mind, announcements you might want to make.
What you making for dinner?
I'll look. Rachel?
I would like to say thank you, Madam President, for your leadership. I loved your setting of the 4 categories slash buckets. Social grease is going to stick in my like a little earworm for a while there, but that was really clear and inspirational. So thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. I did have one thing that I wanted us to just think about. We may not have many students that this affects, but just making sure we're thinking about processes to explain to parents what their rights are in case they're undocumented in our community, and want to make sure that at least we may have a couple, we may not, I don't know, but just making sure our parents and our families know their rights, and the staff knows their rights.
Absolutely.
Other than that, can I get a motion to adjourn? I move to adjourn. Thank you, Maggie.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you, guys.